Hello everyone, it's Jenny and I am so excited to be here with a 2025 WIP Parade. It has been a little over 2 years since I have made a video. I am in a new location and I will tell you more about it in the next video. I'm going to show you all of the projects that I currently have in progress, and thank you for bearing with me. I am trying to get used to the new, I'm in what is my sewing room and I'm trying to figure out the best lighting and all of that. So there's a window in front of me, there's one to the side, still trying to figure it out. My stitching is actually on this wall, but after I got everything set up, it worked better this way. This is mainly Save the Stitches, and I have found some really great antique stores here and places to find other beautiful stitching. But I can tell you more about that later. So I will just jump into the WIPs, and any questions that you have, please feel free to ask in the comments or any feedback on the new location. I am always happy to hear it. So the first one that I have is Consider the Lilies by Beth Twist. And I am stitching this on 36 count R&R Beach Brew. And I was gifted this by my friend Eileen. So I'm not sure if this is something that you can still purchase from R&R, but it's a really beautiful blue. And I love what I have so far. Obviously, there's a lot more to do. This is a very large piece of fabric. Just kidding. See, it takes a little bit of getting used to this again. But it will be a large piece. I've seen a lot of beautiful versions of this stitched, and I am doing this with really the called for DMC. And my concern was with the blue fabric, I wanted to make sure that the colors naturally showed, and I felt like with the DMC without variegation, I had a better chance of that happening. I did write whatever on the DMC, I also noted what the called for overdyed floss was in case I wanted to try it. And there are a few overdyes in here, but it's primarily the DMC. I think there's like 30 colors or something like that. They're really beautiful. And I am excited. I'm excited to get back to all of them. There hasn't been a lot of stitching with, moving and selling a house and kids growing up and all that. I realized that I actually spent a lot of time stitching when I was in the car waiting for the boys, and now I have to figure out again how to work it into my life. So we're getting there. So that's the first one. These are in no particular order at all either. It's just what I was able to grab. And the next one, so these are two kind of large ones at the beginning, I guess, is Dutch Beauty. And this one, I am stitching on 40 count Picture This Plus Tyco. And it is one strand of Vicki Clayton silks over 2 linen threads. I enjoy the Vicki Clayton silks very much. They are the DMC conversion. So they're not they're not variegated. It's, just the DMC in silk. I am a huge fan of this color from Picture This Plus. It's interesting. It's obviously a neutral, but I find that it's not necessarily warm or cool. It's both, and both color palettes work very well on it. It doesn't seem like it tones down either warm or cool colors. And I think that, I haven't checked recently, but I think I will just get more of this to keep on hand because it tends to work with everything. I did iron a little bit. I stitch in hand, and I definitely will not be ironing every time I show things, but these had been sitting for a while and I wanted to get the heavy creases out. And I thought, what was happening here? They're not even cross stitches. They're just, I don't even know what that is. And then I realized, I think my son, and I don't mean like a small child, I mean like a teenager, had stitched something on this. So that was, I probably would have been mad a few years ago, but now that he's out of state or out of the country, I think it's really adorable, but I will take them out, obviously. So I have to figure out the new camera or the phone setup here too. So thanks for bearing with me. And I'll show you, the silks are a little bit harder. They come on the little spool, and it is, I think it's 6-stranded. So you do have to keep, this was the best thing I could come up with so far, is to just put the strands in a little plastic bag with the silks. Sorry. Next up is, this is Cross Haven Sampler by Rosewood Manor. And one of the things I always like about her charts too is that she gives like little smalls on the back that you can also stitch. And I fell in love with this chart because of this section right here on the front. And I chose to do it on a blue fabric in hopes that I could maybe get that area just to stand out a little bit more. And this is where I'm at. Not a lot done on this one. The colors, I'm using DMC, and it is all the called for, but of course they look a little bit different because they're on the blue. And I think I had returned the majority of the threads to my master DMC set, but I like to keep at least a little bit on the cards so that I can kind of see what I'm working with, and then I'll grab them once I go back to this project. I find that like this one, I don't think I've touched in 2 or 3 years. So in the meantime, I could be using the floss for something else. All right. Now this one is Modern Folk Embroidery. It's the IDM sampler. And of course I loved this lady. It looks like, to me, it almost looks like she has a necklace on, which I love. And the colors are really striking. I'll show you these are the called for DMC. And I love the warm colors with the bright blue. But I do want to restart this one. So I think this is why this has languished. I was stitching it on 30 count, I think it's called Parisian Gray by Legacy Linen. It's an access commodity linen, and I love, this is also one of my favorites, the Legacy linen in general. But I think the gray fabric for me was kind of sucking up the vibrancy of the colors. Like when you do a floss toss, I liked it. But I think sometimes, obviously you're only stitching, well with this one I was stitching 2 strands over 2 linen threads because it's 30 count, but you just lost how vibrant these are on the gray. So I will start this on something more neutral, or the gray is neutral, but you know, like a warmer color neutral. And it was fun, obviously, to go through all this and see that I have all these things that I was really excited to do. Not that it will stop me from getting new charts, of course, but there are lots of things here to stitch. I ironically don't really have a lot of project bags, even though I make project bags for other people. I have very few myself. So this was one, it's not a patchwork bag, but my mom had gone hunting for the Teresa Kogut fabric for me, and I wanted to make sure I could show off, you know, the large print. So this one's special because it was from my mom, and then I made a little pouch to go with it. But that was holding a few projects, and this is actually a very small start. This is Sew Sisters by Plum Street, and it's all the called for floss. This is 40 count summer khaki linen. I think it's not hand dyed. It's just a solid khaki color. I really like this one too. I find that these are so much easier to see because they are just the solid color. And that is just the little, I usually start in the upper left-hand corner, but on this one I had started in the center with the tomatoes. That's that one. And then there's another Teresa Kogut. This is a chart from her Patreon, which is an amazing value, I think, for the amount of charts that you get every month. And there's a really fun stitch along that I have somewhere here to show you. So this is called Spring Manor. And the other thing that I like about her Patreon is you receive the monthly charts for being a member, but then you also have the ability to go back and purchase other Patreon charts that she had released earlier, previous, you know, to joining. So you can always do that. So if you do join, I believe you could still go back and purchase this chart. And I am doing this on another Legacy linen. This is Mariner's Map. And this is all the called for DMC. This one is 2/2 on 30 count. And this was one that I pulled out and thought, I don't think I had, I mean, maybe I'm halfway done, but I feel like it's a little bit more stitch heavy on this side. So I should definitely pull that out. And this one is, there's a wide variety of stitching, but also in how I store things, because this is the floss for this project. I think I was in a hurry to start because I was so excited, and this is just how it ended up. And let me grab something from this pile to mix it up a little bit. This one is a more recent start. This, I actually do remember this one. This is Blackbird Violet's Blue. And I started this, I attended the International Cross Stitch Day, or World Cross Stitch Day, I forget the actual name of it, at Always in Stitches in Noblesville, Indiana, which is now about an hour away from us. And this was one that I was always interested in stitching, but I had heard some people felt that it wasn't as violet or purple as they had expected it to be. So I thought while I was at the, it was, you know, like a stitch day for everyone to get together, I would look for the threads and see if maybe I could do a little bit of a conversion to make it more of the violet color. And I believe The only thing I really changed was the Gentle Arts Old Hickory. I changed to Weeks Dye Works Garrison Green. So this would be, I believe, charted for the Old Hickory. And then I changed this to the green. And I added just one purple color. It was Gentle Arts Amethyst. And I felt like I didn't take any of the called for colors out of the mix. I just added the amethyst, which is this one, and then used more of the green color. And then to me, that felt like what I imagined it to look like based on the picture and the fact that it's called Violet's Blue. So, and sadly, I don't feel like I really made that much progress on it. I started it in, it would have been August of 2024, but this is kind of how my stitching has been recently. I'm trying to get back into some kind of rhythm. Okay. This one was given to me by my dear friend Alice, and I am finally stitching it. This is Piece Band Sampler by Beth Twist of Heartstring Samplery. And I do really enjoy monochromatic charts that I can choose a color and deliberate, and I think that's a lot of fun. So this one I decided to do in one of my favorite colors. This is Gloriana, and the name of it is actually Evergreen, but it's much more of a blue color overall, I would say. I always picture evergreen as kind of a deep green color. And that is where I'm at on this one. But I like the variegation because it is subtle, but you still do see the change in color. This one is on a 40 count mystery fabric. It is 1/1, and the Gloriana I always find covers beautifully. And that reminds me, I forgot to tell you, this one is 40 count Old Sheep by XJU Designs. I like this as it's a little bit of a kind of more of a yellow undertone. It is a nice neutral. I like this one a lot, and very easy to stitch on because there's not a lot of modeling to the fabric, and so you can see it. Even 40 count, I feel like you can see well. And next up, this one I don't have a great picture of. This is Quaker Studson by Long Dog Samplers. And this is another one that I enjoy being able to have fun picking out colors. I am stitching this on 36 count Picture This Plus pewter. And I decided it's a mixture. The colors are similar, but there's a few different pieces or fibers that I had to choose from. One is a Cosmo, sorry guys. Oh, here we go. This is Cosmo 983, and then DMC 413. And then I also mixed in, there's a little bit of gray from Almond M&Ms. I'll have to, if you're interested in the color, I'll have to look that up, but I do have it somewhere. So I really like this. Now the chart calls for the alphabet to go in between each of these sections, and I'm still debating what I want to do. It maybe end up being like initials. I also thought of maybe adding like antique buttons that I've collected that, you know, I want to have a special place for, but I haven't figured that out yet, so that could be on here. And it's not a huge piece, but I think, yeah, there's 12, so I'm almost halfway done. Whoops, I almost had a little avalanche. Okay, this one, this is another Teresa Kogut Patreon chart, and it is a mystery stitch along. So this is everything except January that has been released. It is a two-year stitch along, and this one I have taken as a kind of waiting room piece because it's so nice with the fill-in to work on. I think I was stitching on this when Roman got his wisdom teeth out, and obviously I'm not caught up with the Sal by any means, but there's a decent little start. And this is 40 count Rocky Mountain by XJU Designs. The colors, I pulled all of the DMC, and I did another, I just printed obviously the colors from the chart and then put like a little, I mean, it is enough to stitch with because it's one strand over 2 on 40 count, so I don't use a very long thread. But I also like something like this as reference because I did want to use some overdyed cottons in this piece, but I didn't want to pull everything as a conversion to overdyed because I would be using that more on a larger section, you know, like a house or something, to give it a little bit of dimension with the variegation. So what I did was I just keep this with me while I'm stitching, and then I pulled out some overdyes that I think would work. A lot of these are the cottage garden threads, and then if I need something, I'll just look through to see if one of these would work. I definitely used the yellow, like this marigold color is the front of this house. And so there's just some options in there. A lot of times I don't really know what I'm going to do. I just like to pull out some options and then when I get there, see what seems to make sense. So, and this, the way that Teresa's doing this is if you want to stitch this, but it's halfway through the stitch along, she has the previous months as an option to purchase for, I believe it's only $1. So you can, you know, get the back months and then get caught up if you join after the stitch along starts. And this, I also like the orientation of this. It will be a long, like a narrow, long piece when we get there. Okay. Next up is, this is a Jean Farish, Hearts Come Home at Christmas. And this one I was also very interested in because she has a series of videos on her YouTube channel where she sits down with this chart and stitches it and kind of talks out loud about her thought process for where she's starting, you know, how she's traveling around, why she's doing that. And I just think it's such a wonderful opportunity to get inside the head of someone who has been stitching and doing such beautiful pieces for an extended period of time and learning kind of her thought process. So this one, I wanted to do exactly the way it was charted, the called for colors, so that I could really kind of take this class, if you will, like along with Jean, on the videos. These are the Cosmos. I really enjoy stitching with these too. I like DMC, I like the silks, I like the Cosmo. And I think this is such a pretty color palette. There will be lots of extra thread left over. So I might just keep this together as a group and then use this color palette for another project. In the chart, she also recommends substituting a variegated for certain sections. There's also a green one that I just dropped on the floor. But just picture, I mean, it's like the greens that you're seeing, just variegated. These, if it comes in a skein like this, I typically won't cut it apart ahead of time, just in case I'm wanting to use, you know, a certain section. I can just cut it as I'm going. And then this one, Jean's a big fan, I think, of the Legacy linen also. And I don't know that this is what exactly was the called for. I don't think she actually called for a specific fabric, just something neutral. But this is also 30 count Legacy Mariner's Map. And I really like the coverage that the Cosmo gives. I mean, granted, it is 2 strands over 2, so it is, you know, the stitches are a little bit more plump. But I think that's really pretty. And then next up, we have Hands Across the Sea. It's Florence Law, 1899. I usually refer to it as the Waste Not, Want Not sampler, and that is definitely why I chose this one, because I love that sentiment. I do not have, I think I started this one right after we moved, and I just don't think I had the attention span. And one of the reasons also I stopped was because I miscounted somewhere in here to the point where it's fine, I'm not taking it out, but I have to rechart something. I think it might have been like, I don't have room for the 7 or so, I don't remember what it was now, but I figured it's fine. It'll just be a little personalized. This is 103 in the color 523. It is a little bit, it looks better, I think, on camera than it does in real life. It's definitely very subdued, I think, in real life. Between the aged color of the fabric, I don't know, it doesn't show up as vibrantly as it does when I'm holding the spool. So I think a lot of these projects that I'm looking at, I realize it probably would have been worth doing, you know, a little 10 by 10 or 5 by 5 swatch just to see how the thread actually looked on the fabric, which I have a project that I'm going to be starting that I'll show you where I'm doing a little bit more testing ahead of time just to make sure that the floss looks the way I think it does on the fabric. So I'll show you that when I get to that. And this one is Modern Folk Embroidery, Gracious Love. I know I started this for one of Sherry from Colorado Cross Stitcher's cross stitch camps. It was a winter cross stitch camp. It's probably 2022. And I actually have a scarf that my brother crocheted for me where he also got this chart, and he eliminated the words, but like this is all done in the scarf. So I'll pull that out for next time and be sure to show you that. This one I was stitching on 36 count Aztec Red by Weeks. I do know why I stopped stitching on this, because I ran out of the onyx thread that I was using. I did not even consider ahead of time how much thread I would need. So I ran out, and then I ordered it, and by the time it came in, which wasn't that long, I had already moved on to something else. So that's that one. I do know why I put it away. But oh, and this one I did make. Sherry has had a little badge for each session of cross stitch camp. I think this is the only one I actually have stitched so far, but these are super cute. And you can find, she has all the information on her Flosstube videos. Okay, sorry, have to reach a little bit for something. Sorry guys, I have piles in front of me and next to me, and I'm just debating which way to go. Okay, we'll just keep going on this pile. This one is a Leela Studio. It is Mary Jane's Motifs. And if I remember correctly, oh yes, this is from a larger sampler. And I picked this up at the Sweater Weather retreat that I was luckily able to go to in 2023. And then we moved. That was in the fall, and then we moved in May. But it was so much fun. It was my first like actual multi-day retreat. And I grabbed this there. And this one, I started just one flower from this pillow. Oh, these I found on Amazon. These are little cards to write the information on, which I realized I definitely need to do, because I know that somewhere I have all the information for everything written down, but some of it's in a notebook that's someplace else that I haven't been able to get to. You know, it's like, but this with the project itself, if I don't touch it for 2 years, I know I'll be able to find it. So I started writing out some of these as I was getting everything organized. The threads for this, I will show you in a moment. They're actually from a reproduction sampler that Rebel Stitcher designed with threads from Almond M&M's, the hand-dyed silks. And they were so pretty that I thought I could spare, which in hindsight maybe wasn't a good idea, but I thought I could take some out of that kit to use for this, just because I really wanted to just take them out and try them. They're really pretty, and I really like stitching with her silks as well. When we get to that pile, I'll pull out the flosses that go with that. Oh, actually, I have some of them, whoops, on this board. I think I stole like one of each to try. And this, just as I'm clearing the pile, this was a patchwork bag kind of early on, just to mess around with like the dimensions. So this one's smaller than the ones are now. Sorry guys, I was starting to have an avalanche, and I figured I might as well stop and find the floss that I was telling you about. I realized as well that I did not mention this is 40 count brown paper by XJU Designs. And then this is the chart from Rebel Stitcher with these silks. And I just thought the colors were so happy and beautiful. So I grabbed those when we were at the retreat. And then this is the same, I can't even remember what it was called. I just said it out loud. Hold on a second. Sorry. Brown paper by XJU Designs that I was going to stitch this on. And I know I don't leave a lot of margins. I think because I don't have to put anything like in a hoop or a Q-snap or a scroll frame or anything, and I'm just holding it and I'm framing it or finishing it myself, you'll see that a lot of things do have very, very scant margins on them. But I figure if I can get more out of the linen or the Aida or, you know, whatever it is, then I'm happy. So I know, you know. The next one is, I'm considering it a WIP, but it's not really started. This is going to be my birthday start. My birthday's the end of February. And I really fell in love with this because I've also been trying to look at charts like, I mean, I think they're all beautiful. But when I'm going to stitch something, I mean, this is a decent size. It's 314 by 321. I really want to make sure, like, now that I really like all of it, not just like the general overall image. And when I looked at each of the motifs, I really like all of them. And I know I'd be excited to stitch all of it, not just a certain section. So with this one, I had a yard of, this is Atomic Ranch 40 count. I am so sorry, I don't know the color, but I want to know the color, so I will figure it out. I bought this at Always in Stitches in Noblesville. They had a Atomic Ranch trunk show. And this is a really interesting color that seems to change depending on what it's near or the colors that you put on it. So for that reason as well, and also because this is a large project and I'm trying to be a little bit more aware of, you know, if it's something I'm going to be stitching most likely for several years, have I really thought it out? Not that it's not, I mean, I love starting things spontaneously, and sometimes they work out really well, and sometimes I realize the reason I'm not stitching it is because, you know, the colors didn't really work the way I thought they would because I didn't really take the time to test anything. So what I'm doing is I pulled any color that I thought would be pretty on this fabric in this kind of palette, which I have historically done mostly blues. And even my husband was like, wait, that's not blue, you know? So I want to do something a little bit different. And, you know, these kind of like mauve blush colors. And then what I wanted to do was just be able to kind of have a palette where I could almost pull off any of the colors and start stitching with it, and it would either work well or almost have like a variegated effect. And so I wanted to try it ahead of time before I actually started stitching on a giant piece of fabric. And this was my first test. And I really like how it turned out because this is just, for the most part, randomly pulling colors. There was a little bit of intended, like with this area, I wanted it to kind of blend in with the color that was on the straight edge there. But for the most part, I'm just grabbing stuff. And then This is my second little test. This is the motif has a bow. Let's see if I can find it quickly. Oh, right, there it is. That's the other section I'm going to test. And then with those little pieces, which is why I'm kind of considering this a WIP, I'll make them into something to use with the project, like a little fob. Or I also thought that I could take something and cut it and put it in like one of the squares in a patchwork bag, because I think I might actually make myself a bag to hold this, since it's a big project and it's for my birthday. I think that might be something that I can do. And the other threads that are stuffed in here, these are Vicki Clayton silks from before they were put on spools. And they don't have anything, she doesn't have anything on her website that's exactly these names, but I'm sure she has something similar to it. And this was kind of the inspiration, kind of making something in this color palette with threads that are not variegated. And I'll use this as well. I think what I might do is just take threads, you know, that I like that are in this family and just try different things with them. So, and this, for right now, I just have them in this. I love marigold glass. And I think the other thing I like about it is it does have, besides the warm colors, a lot of times you can kind of see it, like the blue in there as well. So I'll put those in there. But I think I'm enjoying the fact that I don't have to, like, I can still change colors and not necessarily get tired of using the same thread without having to actually, you know, look at the color key and find the symbol and, you know, but still switch colors around. So that's been fun. I think I'll do more, assuming that this is what I think it will be and how much I enjoy it. I think I'll try to do more projects like that where I just pull colors that I like and then stitch with them, and however it turns out is how it turns out. This one is kind of silly. I don't even know why I would consider it a WIP, because I should just take the 10 minutes and finish it. But it is an ornament. I like to do the one a month, the like 12 and 25 ornaments stitch along. And this is because I started it last year and then I had to kind of stop with getting ready to sell the house and everything. I have a lot of the vintage ornaments from my mom and my Nana that have a lot of like the pinks and everything. So I wanted to do, normally our tree is more traditional colors. And so I wanted to do things that had more of the pastel colors for a separate tree with those ornaments. It is the 32 count raw, but it has the gold instead of the silver. And I think it's pretty much the called for colors, but I think I pulled a different color for the door. And I know I forgot, there's supposed to be like a green stitch in the middle of each of these. I didn't do that, mainly because I just didn't even see it when I was looking at the chart. It's super cute. I really like Christmas ornaments a lot. So I just have to finish that little bit at the bottom. I'll just do that. And then that will be done. And this one is the Wishing Thorn, Jane Duffin. I have to grab the threads for this. I will show it the next time I actually stitch on this. This one, I was just pulling 103s. Like if it was purple, I grabbed a purple. I didn't plan it out. And I really like how it's turning out. It is on 56 count. However, I find that the solid, I think this is, wait, did I have it upside down the entire time? Sorry if I did. Because this is cream and it's not overdyed, sometimes I find this easier to see than an overdyed 40 count. I did do this in a small hoop. I think the 56 count sometimes is harder to do in hand, but overall, I think it's pretty easy. This is something I'll have to try to get, I'll have to get this to focus better for next time. And I believe that this was charted in DMC. I'll look and tell you next time, I guess. But these are these charts are super clear, easy to read. I really like them a lot. There's a lot that I have that I want to do from her. And then this next one, this I have in this really pretty bag. It is from Hummingbird Hollow, and this was a fundraiser that she did for Ukraine, which is hard to believe how much time has passed. And what I was doing was a sampler that I was just kind of making up as I went with different, like this was a free chart from Long Dog Samplers. This was a free chart from Modern Folk Embroidery. This is a chart from Cliffside Stitches that I purchased on Etsy. This is a chart from Avlia that I purchased on her website. This was from, I think it's Stitch Fiddle AU. And then this is from the company that I buy my Ukrainian egg supplies from. They had a Ukrainian egg cross stitch little pamphlet. And this is from Stitchy Princess Black on Etsy. And this is also stitched on Tyco. So this is the fabric I mentioned earlier as being just a really good, seems to work with everything. And this is 40 count 1/1. Next up is Hands Across the Sea. This is In Our Garden, Many Flowers Bloom. And this is a original, not a reproduction. It's made into a drum. My intention was to probably just keep it as a flat framed horizontal piece, but we'll see, because I really like the stitched strawberries that are on top of the drum that come in the chart as well. And this is on the, oh gosh, actually I shouldn't say that. This is not necessarily the called for. This is another legacy linen. I'm gonna guess 37 count. And I'd actually purchased it for a different Hands Across the Sea pattern. I did stitch one of the border flowers, and then I didn't like the colors on this fabric as much as I thought I would. So I used it instead for this project. I felt like this color fabric was making the, I don't know, it just seemed a little duller than I was expecting the floss to be. This has a brighter color palette, which again, it's like that Modern Folk Embroidery piece where it has that pop of that kind of cobalt blue color, which I think is really fun. A little bit unexpected, I guess. And I think I was working on this the last time, like one of the trips that we made back to Pennsylvania. It's nice and easy to see, and letters are always straightforward, I think. So this is a more recent start also. All right. Next up is my first Mirabilia. I love this one. I think they're really beautiful. This is the first one that I've ever started. And this was a Christmas gift from my sister-in-law, I think in 2023. And I have everything that was called for, you know, that came together as a kit, and all the called for DMC, called for fabric. This is how much I've done. I have her neck. I started in the middle as it, you know, instructed to do, and I have her neck so far. So we'll see. This is one where, like, I want this to hang up, but I haven't quite gotten into the stitching part of it yet. But I'm sure I will, because I really enjoy looking at it. So I just have to, like, get it together and get that done. And okay, guys, next up, this is a kit from My Bobbin. It's a Riolis. Oh no, I'm sorry. It's a Magic Needle kit. And I do love a good kit. I love this is a 14 count Ada, kind of a pale blue that came with the kit. I find it very relaxing. You know, it's easy to see. And for stitching in hand, I find that the Ada is actually so much easier. I'm embarrassed to say I'm not even sure the orientation. I think it goes like this because it's a middle start again. It's really pretty. On the wall, there's that, I think it's a Dimensions kit with the goldfinches. And I really like doing that one too. So this will be very pretty. I like the giant fuzzy bumblebee. The threads, everything came together naturally, but somehow I've lost them on the table. I'll show that all together when I work on that again. And this one is another Modern Folk Embroidery. This is a stitch along. This was prior to me stitching again. So this one, if I remember correctly, you can actually purchase on Jacob's website like the individual months, and then you'll have the whole stitch along. And I'm doing this one on the ground cloth from Avlia, which is so much fun to stitch on. It is a traditional ground cloth. It's definitely a natural, I'm assuming it's cotton. It's 26 count, very easy to see, very easy to do the sewing method if you want to try a project using the sewing method, because there's just something about the texture of this fabric that lends itself really well to stitching with that technique. And I guess I could have done that the whole time to get it in. But this is big. I mean, this is like kind of like a small blanket. But really fun. One color. Roman really likes this one. And I think the color is 38, 68, something like that. I have it, but I don't know where I put it. Oh, wait. Hold on. Sorry, 3808. This DMC color. This is one of my, 924 is my all-time favorite. This is probably like a close second. These bags are great too, these eco bags. That's what I have a lot of things stored in, just to keep them safe until I have time to make myself some bags. Oh my goodness. We almost had another avalanche. Okay. Now, next up, I feel really bad about this one when I found it. This I was making for my younger son. He really wanted this one. This is a kit from 123 Stitch. The Son of Autumn. And it's right where it was the last time I showed it on a video. I'm not even sure the orientation, but that's the kit flosses, and I think, I'm gonna guess this is like 18 or 16 count Ada. I'm sure he'll be shocked if I finish that because he probably doesn't even remember it now, but I feel badly about it. All right, we're getting to the last few, I think. This one is the only thing I think I've like really lost so far from the move. This is Prairie Schooler. It's a chart that has multiple pieces on it. I cannot find the chart anywhere. I'll just get another one if I have to, but it's probably, I have no idea where it is. I shouldn't even say that. But this I was inspired to do on 28 count Lugana 1/1 after I had gone to Stitches Unlimited in Lancaster, because they have a lot of models that are stitched over 1 on 28 count. And I just thought they were really precious. And I find that it's a lot of fun in the sense that they're small stitches, but it's so easy. You know, you're not counting over 2 threads. It's like stitching on Ada, but, you know, just smaller, and it's really enjoyable. So this is the called for DMC. I may, because I don't have a lot of the red done, the red that's called for is like a little bit more of a rust color red, so I may switch this out to a brighter red, you know, a lot of people have done with the Prairie Schooler. I think that might be fun. I really like it. It's so cute. I just have to find the chart so I can finish it. I was actually going to work on it the other day, which is what made me realize that I had misplaced the chart. And next we have, this is the Himalayan Blue Poppy by Ancient Sage Designs. My intention for this one is to make it into a brooch. It's on 56 count. It will be fairly, you know, brooch size when it's done. And I have some black spinel and I think it's kyanite. I'm not sure if it's kyanite or I can't remember. Oh no, it might be faceted lapis. Oh gosh, I think some of them are off the strand. I don't know if I can do this. And use that to make it into a brooch. So I think that will be very fun. You can tell that I definitely, like last year, picked things up and then just didn't have, with everything going on, I just, you know, that's about how far I would get, and then I'd have to put it away. And I think the last one I have to show, and I actually don't have a cover picture for this one, I will have to grab it. This is Rhoda Jane Carlton, 1894, and this is from Becca at Sambry Stitches. And this is another one that I just grabbed 100 threes, and if the chart called for a purple, I just grabbed a purple that I liked. And this one's very sweet. I actually don't think I even have, oh, it says love one another. That I think is the reason that I liked, well, that was one of the reasons that I liked this piece. My mom's name is Jane and my middle name is Jane, so I think, you know, that also, I thought that was fun. And I guess I can tell you, I did write down on this one, the 100 threes that I am using so far are 307, 631, 344, 241, 133, and 325. So just to give you an idea of what those are. thought that was the last one, but I forgot. This is another ornament. When we had gone to Always in Stitches last February, and Roman was with us, and he wanted me to stitch this for his Christmas ornament because I usually do an ornament each year for the boys. And it's probably not that there's anything wrong with it, but it's probably not one that I necessarily would have picked. But I thought, well, of course, you know, if he likes that one, I'll stitch that one. And then recently my brother saw this and thought, oh yeah, that's so funny. Roman just picked that because he thought that it's not something that like you would want to stitch. So that's why he asked you to stitch it. Oh, I mean, it's too late now because it's like the little piggy, his face is done. And I'm just going to finish it and give it to Roman. So I think now, oh, and that's all the kits. You know, it's a Mill Hill, so it came with the floss and the beads and everything like that. I'm just taking, okay, I think that's everything. And yes, I'm sure there's a few pieces that are around that I have forgotten, but I am so grateful that you were here with me to go through all those WIPs. I have no idea what my plans are or what I'm going to pick up first. I mean, other than the Long Dog sampler that I'm going to start for my birthday, I don't have a game plan. I greatly admire everyone that is able to put a plan together. I am going to try because there are definitely, oh, I already thought of something that I know was here. Oh, here we go. Here's a perfect example. I forgot to show this one. Like this one. This is an Avlia chart that I was stitching for Tristan, my older son. It's Armenian ram's horn. I don't have a picture, but just imagine this is half of it. And then, you know, I'll just do this exact same thing on the other half. It's on 30 count Makini cloth that is amazing to stitch on. It's 2 strands over 2, like things like this. Why haven't I just finished it and given it to Tristan? I have no idea. So I'll figure out some way to get these done, along with, you know, all the other things that I want to start, just like, you know, everyone else has the same problem. But yeah, I'm super, super excited. And if you enjoyed these projects, please subscribe. I will be making more videos, and it will not be 2 years from now. It will be in the next few weeks. So if you subscribe, you'll know when there's a new video. And thank you so much, everyone. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.